Sometimes it can be really hard to get out the door to go camping. There's a lot of gear to get together and it can just be plain overwhelming. We love to go car camping, and one of the things that we have found that helps us actually go camping and get out the door quicker with less stress is to have all of our gear in totes, so that when we want to go camping, we just load up and we're ready to go.
So the question is, what do you put in your car camping gear? Well, that's the purpose of this video, is to go through all of our car camping gear so you can get a better idea of what to put in your own car camping tote.
To help you get out the door quicker and go camping. Okay, let's take a look in the biggest tote. We've got in our biggest tote here is all of our bedding. And so, first, camping pillows.
And we sometimes will actually take pillows from home just to make it more comfortable within our car camping set. And so obviously we're not packing the pillows we're sleeping on our beds inside of our tote, but we always will have our camping pillow. So if we forget to, or we decide we're okay, we always have our camping pillows ready to go.
Next we have a blanket. Sometimes we go camping in the wintertime, which doesn't get super cold here in Texas, but it does get down into the 50s sometimes, so we like to take an extra blanket to throw on top of us or to throw under us for some extra padding. And we actually have 3 sleeping bags in our bedding
and there's
tote.
only 2 of us.
This one's for extra padding and extra warmth as well.
Right. And yeah, just 2. All right, we have our Teton sleeping bags. When I first got this, I got, I think, the tracker, and it was rated to 15 Fahrenheit. And I actually went outside, and like she said, we live in Texas, and so it doesn't get that cold. But I went outside and tried to sleep in my backyard. This is a few years ago when we had purchased these, and it was cold. It was actually cold with the 15 Fahrenheit version. So I actually returned it, and these are the rated down to the 5 Fahrenheit. I've taken this many places, and when I was camping in it was like 40-degree weather, I had to have a fleece on top of what I was wearing as I was sleeping, but I was able to stay warm without any issues. So just to give you an idea, like these Teton bags they're relatively inexpensive and they're good quality. One of our favorite features is one of my favorite features is that it has let's open one up. In the place where you put your head, it has a cover.
That's the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Try that one.
It's probably also the bottom.
No, this is the top.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it covers your head. Like you can pull this drawstring, and you can make it so basically only your nose is visible to the cold air, and so you really can warm up really well with this sleeping bag. And another feature that's really cool is that there's a little zipper. I have no idea.
It's down here. Okay,
it's right on the lip here, on the top of the sleeping bag. So here's the top, and then there's a
pocket.
A pocket, and we keep earplugs in here because Texas has these critters called, what are those called?
Cicadas? No, armadillos?
Armadillos and cicadas. Yeah, but armadillos particularly, these guys are super noisy. And if you are a light sleeper like myself, you would not be able to get any rest at night because of all the critters that are running around, whether it's
rustling the leaves.
Yeah, exactly. Whether that's armadillos, or they have wild hogs out here, and which is kind of a very disconcerting sound to hear in the middle of the night, is to hear some pig grunting around. It's like, what's going on out there? So earplugs are really awesome. And so just being able to know, this happened to us where we were camping, and like 1,000 scouts, it seemed like, pulled up right next to us
at 10 p.m.
At 10
as we
p.m.
were getting in our sleeping bags,
and we were saved by the fact that we had our earplugs just right here. So I know it's a really small feature, but just having a pocket that's great. What a great idea. So
sometimes I put tissues in it too, so it's great when you're cold.
Yeah,
blow your nose while you're sleeping.
Exactly. So we really liked those sleeping bags. Everything else was kind of generic, but those are the ones that are worth some more discussion about.
So obviously there's a couple other things that we're not showing here, like sleeping pads. The sleeping pads don't quite fit in our big tote, so we do have those separately. But
Yeah.
we're okay with that. Sometimes, maybe if we're gonna go camping in the summertime and we don't need all of our extra warmth bedding, then we might, switch some things out. But
Right. It's not set in stone. We just have some cheap sleeping pads. I'm pretty sure these are from like Academy, which is a local sporting goods store here in Texas. That's all around, and I think this one might be from Walmart. And they do the job. They give some good insulation and some comfort. So, all right, on to the next tote.
Yep. Okay, this is our kitchen, our car camping kitchen box. This is all the things that we use for cooking while we're camping.
And here we have a cutting board, very exciting. And some of our cutlery. Really handy thing to have are tongs and a spatula. You'd be surprised how handy a spatula is, and to make sure it's sturdy and can withstand some. Because you might be using it to scrape off things off a pan that you might,
Right, we used to have a cheap plastic one, like the kinds you can just buy at Walmart or whatever, and it gets pretty hot when you're cooking over a fire, so it kind of was melting and there was like black plastic coming off. So we went to a thrift store and opted for a metal spatula. I think this cost us all of 99 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So,
in fact, all three of these items, they've come from a thrift store, and this is a great way to start your own camping kitchen box, is to go to a thrift store. It's just, you are not spending a lot of money, and so it's like no sweat if you break something, or if you're like, I don't want this anymore. But you can get really sturdy items that will last you for a long time, that work. This cutting board we bought actually across the country, and we were like, this is a great cutting board. It's perfect for camping because, this is may seem a little silly, but this actually works as a little table, and sometimes that's really handy when you're camping because you don't have a lot of you don't have any counter space. Sometimes they have picnic tables depending on where you're going, and so, but this is like a little miniature table that you can put on your lap and actually prepare your food, even though it's not very big. So if you're getting a cutting board, it's actually really handy when you're camping, especially if you're eating fruit and vegetables, but it's good to get one that's a little sturdy so that you can use it as a little table.
yeah, and the sturdiness is key. I've actually used this to put hot food on. If you make like a tinfoil dinner or something, I'll pull it out and put it on here to check it and open it. So it is kind of important that it's sturdy so it can withstand some wear and tear.
Some hot pot holders, handy. Camp soap. This is the Camp Suds that, it's like the camp soap that's advertised everywhere, and a little bit goes a long way. It works well.
And a little tiny washcloth.
It says it's biodegradable, but I'm sure it's better to use smaller amounts than. What did you say about the washcloth?
Just said it's a little washcloth.
Oh, it's a little washcloth. And these go together.
Yeah, wipes. So you might be thinking, gosh, do they really wash their dishes with a little tiny washcloth and camp soap? And the truth of the matter is that we actually don't use this as much as we use these. So these are just Cottonelle wipes, and we just use these for everything, to wipe our hands off with, or if our dishes aren't particularly dirty, we'll just actually wipe them out with a wet wipe. So these are the kind that are okay to use on your hands and face. So that's kind of our car camping, dishwashing hack / lazy.
Right, don't tell anybody. So we also have salt and pepper, kind of a necessity. We always
these are just from the dollar store. You don't need anything special.
We got this cool thing from Walmart. It's a little multi-spice kit for camping, so it has a whole bunch of stuff in a small space. Like we got cayenne pepper, garlic salt, paprika. I don't know why paprika made it onto the list, but
yeah.
Anyway, it's got some spices in it that and cayenne pepper that can come in handy. We haven't used it all that much. It seems like salt and pepper does us just fine for most things. Oil. We go camping enough where we can actually store our oil safely, but this is really handy for us. Like it's just we found a miniature bottle of oil and
we just refill it.
We refill it, and you use it for cooking, especially if you're cooking with cast iron, or basically anything when you're camping. It's very important to have oil because you're cooking with temperatures that are hard to regulate, and so oil really smooths things out and makes it so things don't burn and get terribly stuck to your pan. That's the worst, is if you're camping and you try to make scrambled eggs, which, I mean, you can do that. It's just dangerous because if it gets stuck to the pan, it's like, oh man, trying to deal with that can be a little bit arduous.
We just take canola or vegetable oil. We like to cook with olive oil at home, but olive oil has a lower smoking point. So, and you're dealing with some pretty hot temperatures when you're cooking over fire. So we usually go for the vegetable oil.
Yes. We have matches and a lighter, which it's like, why do we have both? But
just one or the other.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So self-explanatory. Very handy for starting your own fires. Now, this is a really cool tool that is also very handy for helping us campfire getting going. It's called a pocket bellows, and it comes in a little tube. It's probably not going to show up there, but it's not actually a telescope, even though it looks like it. It's just a big metal straw, a telescoping straw, and it allows you to get air into the part of the fire that you're trying to ignite. And bring some more oxygen there without getting your face in the fire, which is actually, it's really unpleasant, and inhaling all that smoke. But also it's a more focused stream, so it actually makes starting a fire a lot easier. So really cool tool called the Pocket Bellows. There's a few of them. There's a few different brands, but that's the one we like. And we got some extra plastic bags. These aren't just for decoration.
No, it's just, having a plastic bag on hand is always useful.
And if you, we actually use our cast iron skillet, our Lodge cast iron skillet, for cooking at home. And so when we go camping, we just take it with us. And these plastic bags are a great way to just put the skillet within the plastic bag, and it acts as a cover. Not a very classy cover, but it works really well.
So that's one thing to note is our camping box has almost everything that we need to cook while we're camping. We use, like Peter said, we use our cast iron pan at home to cook, but that's what we also use to cook when we go camping. So we know when we're loading up the car, trying to be quick, that we got to grab our kitchen box and the cast iron pan. So that's not something that fits in our box because we use it at home.
Right. All right, so when we go to a restaurant, actually, my work, they will, I don't know why, but everyone always brings in Jason's Deli, and they always come up with these spare mustard and mayonnaise packets, and there is no use for them at work because you don't think to use it, but for camping, fantastic, because these never go bad. Well, I should never say never, but they will last for a really long time, and so they can stay in your camping box. And if you have the cause to need them, then they are there, and they're in convenient travel size packets. So that's pretty nice. This is a backpacking stove, and it's not really a name brand, but I've taken this all over the world actually, and it has been great. It cost me $15. And we don't have a big Coleman camp stove like the big 2-burner stove that you see a lot of people use, but we just have a backpacking stove. We cook a lot over the fire. We cook with coals occasionally, but and sometimes we'll cook with our camp stove. And go ahead. Sorry.
We always take it with us because sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. For example, maybe it starts raining and you have a really hard time, getting your fire started, but that was how you were going to cook your food. Or maybe this happens a lot in Texas. You get to a campsite and the park is on a burn ban and you can't have a fire, and you're thinking, oh shoot, that was how we were going to cook our food. So we've just learned to always take the burner because it's just a good backup.
Some hand sanitizer, really nice to have when you're cooking, using the bathroom, and you're camping. And I mean, the part of the fun of camping is that there's extra germs all over the place. It's just part of the fun, but sometimes it's nice to ease your mind. So we have some hot sauce. This is some Tapatio, and this is a must. If you're gonna go camping and you're eating your own food, bring some hot sauce or something that can save your meal. Sometimes you burn things, if things don't turn out the way, you're trying a new recipe, things don't turn out the way you expect it to. So having some hot sauce really can, like, okay, I can't eat this, but now I can, and you can survive. So really great to have. Can opener just comes in handy if you are bringing canned food. And we have our mess kit with some mayonnaise and mustard packets. It's pretty cool. We have these expandable cups, and these are okay. They always feel a little flimsy, you're eating something hot and you're kind of like scared.
Yeah, we made tea in them on our last camping trip, and I was a little nervous. I had a cup of boiling liquid, and so they do work, but there is always that fear that your cup's gonna collapse.
Right.
But they haven't yet. We've used them a lot and they haven't, so.
This is a camp aluminum, oh, there's another mayonnaise packet snuck in there. This is an aluminum cookware set, or mess kit from REI, and it's pretty basic. You can find these everywhere, and it's lightweight, which is not a huge deal for car camping, but it's compact, and which is nice because it fits in this box. And when we come home, like Diane was saying, we will clean off these as best as we can with wipes as but when we come home, we will actually wash it in our sink. So it works really well, and it has a measuring cup inside, which that's also handy if you are making anything that's dehydrated, including pancakes. It's nice to have a measuring cup so that you can have if you're following a recipe, and you know how much water to add. I mean, it's okay to eyeball things, but it's just a handy thing.
This is a nice one because it's one of those where it's all in one, so you don't have like a whole pack of measuring cups. Rather, it's just one cup, and then on the inside it has the different measurements. So
right. That's
nice because it's a little more compact. This mess kit serves as our eating utensils. We don't necessarily use this as a pan. I know you can, but we, like we've already said, we take our cast iron pan. But we use the two bottom pieces as our plate, bowl, whatever we need to eat off of. I know some people get really excited about having like cool camping eatwear, but to save space, we figure this works just fine. So we each just use one of them, and like I said, they have this big lip so they can be a plate, a bowl. You can pretty much eat anything. We've eaten soup, and we've eaten everything. Potatoes, steak, eggs. So yeah, I wanted to mention that.
Awesome. Paper towels. It's really a really nice thing to have. Even if you try not to use paper towels at home, just when you're camping, it's just really convenient, especially when you're working with cast iron, because rather than like having to get water and like trying to dispose of, this watery mass of, food when you're trying to clean it out, as soon as you're done cooking, you can use a paper towel and some oil to wipe out your pan, scoop out the food, and throw it away in a responsible way right away. So, and save the mess. And so really, these are really great things to have, and you'll just find situations where you want them. They're kind of indispensable, actually. What are these for?
It's just always good to have a piece of foil on hand. If maybe you have leftovers from what you ate, you don't know what to do with it, wrap it up in foil, stick it in your cooler. Or maybe you need to cook something and you forgot the foil, but if you have some in your kitchen box, then you're saved.
So this is just a paring knife, and we have a multi-purpose knife that we take too, but we often find ourselves just using this paring knife because it's just convenient. We're not really trying to, construct a whistle. We're not trying to whittle. Usually we're just trying to eat, and so the paring knife is generally what we use when we car camp.
For us, the big thing is that it has the cover on it.
Yes.
We used to take a small knife the same size that didn't have a cover, and it was always like, oh my gosh, don't cut yourself on the knife. We tried to wrap it up with paper towels and stuff, but once we found this one that had a cover, I thought that's important. So that makes it so you don't have to be afraid to stick your hand in your kitchen camping box.
Exactly.
So we also use these we love these. They're Light My Fire is the brand, and they're, I don't know if you would call this a spork. It's not really a spork because it's a spoon on one side and a fork and a knife on the other. So, but these are great for us. I mean, you can't really cut a whole lot with that knife. But if we're, if we happen to be having steak or some kind of meat, we just use our paring knife to cut it up and eat it. But
you could cut pancakes probably.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but we just like these again because they're really compact and they get the job done. So
that's our kitchen box. All right.
This is our last camping tote, and this is kind of the miscellaneous one. So this is everything else that doesn't fit in the kitchen camping box or the bedding camping box.
We have our tarp that goes underneath our tent,
which is right here.
Right here. We use the Kelty 2-person Grand Mesa tent, and it works great for us because I'm almost 5'10" and she's 5 foot. So that if we were any taller, either of us, it just wouldn't have worked. It's a so that's our kitchen box. But the two of us, it's snug. But we've actually used it quite a bit. That's been our go-to tent for the last few years. Really recommended. It's great ventilation, lots of guying capabilities. You can guy it out really well and be really waterproof. We did test it to its limits when we were in a really significant rainstorm not too long ago, and water did get in, but we could have done better probably with the rain fly to guy it out better. So anyway, it's a great tent. We would definitely recommend it if someone's looking for a lightweight backpacking tent, because it's less than 5 pounds for sure, and it can fit 2 people, depending on those people's dimensions. But
and how close they want to be.
Yeah, and how close they want to be, exactly. So we have 2 hammocks, and honestly, we usually only set up 1, but we bring another just in case.
But we have set up 2 once or twice.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes you don't, well, I mean, you can't always plan. Well, you can plan.
You can plan, but we don't.
Sometimes you're going to be camping with other people, and that's usually when we set up 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're with a group, then we want to set up 2. So it's good to have 2.
So with that, there's some paracord for setting up ridge lines and tarps, and we have we have ropes. This is all we have been setting up our hammocks exclusively with ropes. We don't have any webbing, so all this rope is here to support the hammocks. But I mean, occasionally we've used that rope for other purposes. We like to daisy chain. Let me have an example.
Yeah, is that daisy chain?
Yeah. So we like to daisy chain our ropes because, I mean, as you can imagine, putting it into a big box like this, it can get really messy. So daisy chaining allows you to, when you're ready to use it, just like pull through and it'll come through. But it also allows you to put it in here and they don't get tangled, which is just so much better. It really helps in our storage by daisy chaining the rope. So that's one tip for you if you want to put rope in a box with other rope, just is to daisy chain it. So.
This is a rain jacket, raincoat.
And it's not one that's very stylish, but if it's raining hard and you need some cover.
It's one of those big rain ponchos, but it's,
Hatchet. This is great for driving in tent stakes and also to cut up your campfire wood to make some kindling.
These are roasting sticks. So we could have put these in our kitchen box, but they didn't fit. So
yeah, we found these. What's the Camp Chef is the brand, and they're cool because they have this hook on the end. And which is great in many ways. If you're going to give this to a child, you can extend it so it gives some distance between them and the fire. And also, there's not really a way to like poke people in the eye. I mean, you kind of would have to work at it. So, I mean, never say never, but that's a These are convenient, and
it's also your marshmallow doesn't slide off the end into the fire.
Yes, it actually does help for, you've got gravity and the marshmallow gets kind of soft, and as you cook it, it'll actually get caught right here. Brilliant design. I don't know who started that, but they're great. Bug spray and what do you call that stuff?
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen to protect your body. Just a staple for camping. We don't actually often use our bug spray. Sometimes, like a lot of times when we go camping, it's not a big deal. But sunscreen, especially if you're going to be hiking, these are things you don't want to forget, and that's why it's so great to have a camping tote so that it's always there and you don't have to worry about it. Because it's like, did we bring the sunscreen? Well, of course we did, because it's always in the tote. Just a great thing to have.
Yeah. Then we kind of have a bag of miscellaneous emergency stuff. Like we usually bring headlamps with us, which is something we don't keep in our box because we use them at home. It's another one of those things that we have a little list that's like camp box, and then we have a couple other things.
Yep.
But we do keep a flashlight in there in case we forget our headlamps. We also have some glow sticks, again, in case, I don't know, the batteries run out, or we need a glow stick for some reason to hang up in the tent. We've got bungee cords and duct tape and a compass and some super glue. I'm not going to take all those out, but so as you can see, it's just a little bag of some kind of emergency stuff.
And the last thing we'll talk about is these hand warmers. We've never had to use these, but if you're in a situation where you can't get anywhere and you're camping, it's more likely, and you need to stay warm. Like, we have hand warmers. I don't know if we ever will use these since where we live, but they're there.
No.
So there you have it. That's all of our camping gear. It's probably a little bit more extra than you need, but it should give you some ideas of places to start. And like we've mentioned, there are a few things that are not on this list, such as our fuel for our fire, our charcoal, if we're making a charcoal fire, and
our cast iron pan.
There's
a few things that we
camp chairs.
grab, and we just have a little list.
Right. But those are really the things that we can put in a box and have ready to go at all times, and that can help you when you want to go out and camp to be able to do the same. If you like this video and you want to be plugged into future videos where we're going to share tips to help your camping experience be awesome, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you can be notified anytime there's a new video.
Now go out and go camping.